on our way right now to the New England Synthesizer Museum in beautiful Nashua, New Hampshire. Very excited. Been a while since we've been there. Ready to go visit the man, the myth, the legend, Wilson, and all his keyboards and kitty cats. I think this should be very promising, quite entertaining to say the least. Alright, go ahead. So, we're at the New England Synthesizer Museum now, and this is the proprietor, Mr. Dave Wilson.
Hi.
Kind enough to have us today. And we'd just like to ask a few questions about the origin of the museum and its history. So, when was the museum founded, opened?
Well, officially, according to the government, we became a not-for-profit on October the 18th of 1995. But actually, I'd been collecting these things for a lot longer.
Mm-hmm.
What basically happened was, when I heard Switched On Bach, I really wanted a synthesizer. I was 8 years old when that came out. And my parents couldn't afford one. They didn't want to buy one, and it was just ridiculous. And then, about 1984, just around when I graduated from college and started to have some money to spend, all these synthesizers started turning up for $10 and $20 each because nobody wanted them anymore. And I just started buying them, and it was a private collection. And next thing I know, people are coming to me for advice and manuals and repairs. And I realized I was doing some of the work that a museum does.
Mm-hmm.
And Gary Schwartz at the Danbury Electronic Music Center, he sold me this Mellotron. He said, you know, if you're going to have a museum, you have to have a Mellotron. And really, he was the first one to use the word museum.
Yeah.
And that was when I decided that, yeah, we're going to make this into a museum. And we're actually the oldest of the synthesizer museums in the world because the one in England is closed up. Mm-hmm. And there are now two others. There's Audio Playground in Florida with Joseph Rivers, and you've got David Keene's Oddities Foundation. But we're the oldest of all the synthesizer museums in the world.
Alright, so you're allowed to move to trying some synthesizers out now?
One of the earliest synthesizers, actually not a synthesizer at all, this is a Mellotron, this lower keyboard, made in England. It was actually based on an American instrument called the Camlin. And the way it works is that each key is a tape recorder that plays back. And the recordings that it comes with include the London Philharmonic string section, the pipe organ, I think it's the one at Albert Hall, and a choir of some kind. Unfortunately, the mechanism is closed. I can do it, but I have to open it up.
Ooh.
Which is just as well, as we can certainly show you the
inner workings.
Okay, here's the inside of the Mellotron. I've got the choir sound selected now. And what happens, the way the Mellotron operates, is you have these keys, each of which has a little roller on it. And that roller pushes against a rotating bar. And these felt pads, just like inside any tape recorder, push the tape against these tape heads. And what actually happens is the entire tape assembly is itself removable. And you can pull out what's called a tape frame and drop in another tape frame and thereby change sounds. So it actually has cartridge sounds. Of course, the cartridge is about 3 feet square, but they did have it. And this, of course, dates back to the very early 60s. And I think it predates the Moog. But then, of course, it's not really a synthesizer. It's really just a glorified tape recorder with a keyboard control. I'm going to put the keyboard back, facing the right direction. People will get suspicious. Of course, the expert on Mellotrons is David Keene at the Mellotron Archives. So if he disagrees with me, he's right. And what I've got set up right here now, this is what I got. It's pretty unmistakably a pipe organ. And what this pipe organ was used in was, yes, close to the edge, where you have the, let's see, we have, I get up, I get down, I get up, I get down.
Yep.
Okay. This thing has to warm up a bit. We are, of course, in New England in November, and you can tell everybody's wearing their coats. The museum is, it's heated, but not all that well. What we've got here is a Korg monopoly. And the monopoly is one of my favorite synthesizers because it has a lot of different things you can do. First of all, it's got 4 oscillators. It's got a computerized keyboard, which lets you play up to 4 notes. But then you've got enough control over each individual piece. Like I can set each oscillator into a different waveform, or a different octave for that matter. This is the ARP 2600, this piece here. And this was this is like the second synthesizer that ARP built. And it was a portable synthesizer. But it's got a lot of features. It's got, first of all, 3 precision voltage controlled oscillators. The nice thing about these ARP oscillators is they're perfectly stable and temperature capable, which means you've got less tuning headaches and tuning problems. And in fact, I use this particular piece as a gold standard against which I'll measure. I was doing. Let's see if I got my octave thing set up here from last time.
Was the amp on?
Oh yes. Did you flip the PV on? Wait, I'm the one who's in the best position to get it, I think.
There we go.
Oh yeah, there we are. Little PV rage. Drag around from room to room. I was doing an oscillator evaluation for Paya Electronics in Oklahoma. Their new modular synthesizer. I don't have the oscillator module here anymore, but it was here and it tracked the ARP perfectly over a 4-octave range. So that was very impressive, especially considering Paya's earlier gear, which was all hertz per volt and difficult to make work sometimes. I know from personal experience. It's got a filter, which is actually a Moog filter, which ARP infringed on the patent of, and of course they eventually stopped, but in the meantime they sold a few pieces, and this is one of them. Okay, now what are we up to? You may be wondering, where's the keyboard? Well, the keyboard's not set up right at the moment, and the reason is I've needed the space to set up other things, the Paya modules I was testing. But this can also be used without a keyboard, and one of the things you can do by flipping this switch is to make it respond to the sample and hold clock.
Must be a different, must have the wrong chord.
I think that's the right chord.
The volume up at all?
The volume's up a bit. I think you're right, it's got to be the wrong chord.
This one's
Whoa, whoa, I just had it.
I must have a bad connection in the cable. Yeah.
It's not plugged in all the way.
There we go.
There we are. Always helps to have the cable plugged in all the way. Now let's see what we got.
Put the mic up there.
Okay. As you can hear, it's still quite in tune. Oops. Hello? It's a very old one, of course. And sometimes you get a loose wire in one of these machines. Why do I have this pitch changing? This is actually a fairly new behavior on the part of the arm. It usually is rock solid. Yeah, something's loose inside. I gotta take it apart again. But because of the extensive modulation routings and the large number of additional circuits besides the usual oscillators, filter, amplifier envelope, you get a wide array of sounds that are just not available as standard sounds on another machine.
That sounds great.
Another machine. This will make wilder sounds than the monopoly, definitely more so than the mini Moog, and probably it just gives you more access to wild sounds than it probably gives you more access to wild sounds than just about any other synth you can get that's affordable. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do with this, and you can do it straightforwardly. You don't have to be doing a lot of multi-tracking either. If you get it set up right, you can just do all your stuff right away.
Yeah.
Which is handy because it's not programmable. If it was programmable, it would probably be one of the best synths ever made, I think.
Yeah. Awesome.
It was programmable. The filter chip inside here, which is the same one they used in the Poly 6, is actually the SSM chips, which are the same ones that were used in the early Rev Prophet 5s. So you've actually got the Prophet filters, so to speak.
Excellent.
And of course the EMU modular also used those chips. They were developed by EMU. So